exactly 6 o'clock now.
It's exactly 6 o'clock now.
Yeah.
We're more up to date on.
We're more up to
Hold,
date on.
hold,
Hold what?
hold on. I had to pause the actual stream itself because I forgot it was. We're more.
Wait, we're live?
Yeah, we're live, dude.
Yes, we're
Ah,
live.
God damn it! You did it again.
You just told me we were.
He literally said it.
You said go live in 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, it's funny because in 2 seconds you said like it'd be 6 o'clock when we normally go live. I wasn't looking at the stream. I didn't know we were actually live.
Well, yeah, you said we're live. We're live. We're live. Hi, yeah, we're live. Okay, guys. So before
I
why
know.
the music is okay, I'm gonna open up the music again. Hey guys, how is the sound volume stuff?
Are we balanced? Can you hear us?
Can you hear our soothing tones?
We had a minor
Well,
Discord issue.
Yeah, because
How's
you guys,
that-
2 people were responding to me, so I guess you guys hear my yelling.
And, let me turn down this volume of the music because now that is just blasting.
Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
How's that, guys? How is that sound quality? What's up, Jess?
Can
What's up,
we be heard?
Sienter? Scattered Sprites? Gray Matter? Crystal Clear? Yeah, guys, we're up on time, guys.
And maybe a touch quieter. Oh, okay.
Oh wait,
I'm shook that I'm louder than anyone. I don't know that that's ever happened in my entire life.
hold on. Let me turn up Nova. We'll go into the podcast stuff second. We're just trying to do some sound stuff because I had to reinstall Discord, and then we'll start ignoring chat like a podcast does. You know, typical asshole.
You're not supposed to say that out loud.
Fuck off.
So, if you want our attention, now's the time to get it.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
he's saying.
Yeah, show us those feet pics, Scattered Sprites.
Ew.
Wait, what?
What? I'm
Wait,
sorry.
Hold on.
No,
What?
please, no.
What's wrong? I ain't saying anything.
You know what? If you
Take
can
that
show
offline.
those through like what is it? Like ASCII code through Twitch chat, then yeah, go
No.
right ahead.
No.
I need to see
No.
that
Nope.
creativity. But no links.
I will real quick ban that. Nope. Veto.
There you go. There's the bait. Now that's our way of like seeding out the freaks.
I just don't want that in my public space. Thank you
It's
very
okay.
much.
We're not gonna
Fair
put.
enough.
We're not
Fair
gonna put
enough.
feet.
Yeah.
We're not gonna. No feet, guys. No feet.
Yeah,
there's
no feet.
there's our boundaries. No feet. Whoever thought of that should be ashamed of themselves.
I know, right? Who was that?
God, fucking.
I don't even remember which one of you it was, but you should both be ashamed.
What? Even if I'm not the one?
Yeah, Nova.
I
What
can't
the?
be ashamed by association.
Jeez,
Yes.
Nova. What the fuck, Chuck? It was Scattered Sprites. You are a scoundrel and a swindler.
Yeah, thank you, Scatter Sprites, for being the
He is-
voice of reason.
He
here.
is not a
Normally
voice
that's
of
Aaron's
reason.
job.
Scattered Sprites likes Korean pop music.
What?
Okay.
All right, guys.
And that's the voice of reason here.
All right. Well,
All right.
our audio's good. Or,
Our
can we
audio's
start
good.
now?
Let's start.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good. Let's start.
Well,
Hey,
then.
Hey, all right. So
Start.
we're gonna today we are going to talk about gender in video games.
Specifically, including gender selection, not just
Yeah.
gender in general.
Right.
Yep, a lot of games back in the day, they really only allowed you to play dudes back in the day. You know, you had your Harvest Moons, your Harvest Moon.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, they were pre-made characters, right?
Oh,
You just,
and-
like only guys.
And
Because I think-
Rune Factory, the original Rune Factories.
Yeah, I was just about to say Pokemon as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pokemon.
Pokemon was a very up until Crystal. Yep, that was definitely when they started adding female characters to the game.
Yeah, selectable female characters.
Selectable female character. I'll tell you what, man. I remember they really went all out with female designs on those Pokemon games. You know, like the dudes in Pokemon games always came off as a bit eh, but the female characters they really went all out with those designs.
Well, why do you think that is? Is it because of the main audience? Because yeah, back then, like it's so I guess as a child, I didn't really have my finger to the pulse of the demographic back then, but it was my understanding that 99% of gamers were men. So yeah, why would any man want to, like not want to have like elaborate female designs?
I mean, come on, dude. There
Now,
was a
whether or
lot.
not that's true is a whole different story. Because my understand, because I met plenty of girls that enjoyed video games. They just were not as vocal about it as men.
Well, they obviously made a slew of games for girls that were very, very girly, but they weren't good.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Nintendogs is great.
Nintendogs. I'm not talking about Nintendogs. I'm talking about like Barbie, Beauty and the Beast, all that. They
What is the horse game?
the horse
Hang
game.
on.
A horse
Hold,
game.
There
hold,
was
hold.
there was a horse game on that came out. Oh,
Hold,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Barbie
Okay,
Horse
fill me in.
Adventure.
No. I'm not even talking about Barbie Horse Adventure. Let me see. It was a Crystal Pony game for the Sega Genesis.
I
Crystal-
was a Nintendo kid.
Crystal Ponytail. Oh man, you gals did dirty back in the day.
Well, also, girls were supposed to play with dolls, not with electronics, because electronics were for the boys.
Well, I'm glad that that's not the case anymore.
Right.
I mean, same.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean,
well, kind of. I think so. Yeah, I know it happened all the way back in Pokemon, but to be honest, I can't think of any large scale like movement to like have playable females. It was just a thing that just kind of happened over time.
yeah, well, I mean, there were games where you could play as female characters and male characters, but those characters were already established. They weren't like self-inserts like Pokemon or Harvest Moon. You know, you were the character in Harvest Moon. You were the character in Pokemon. The characters that were already established, you know, that's really when they allowed you to play as female characters.
Right. So when we're thinking about it from that way, it's like so there as new devs, right? Like when you're trying to think about how to be inclusive, like what do you think is a way? Well, there are several ways to go about it, but is there like a best way to go about it, or what? What do you think?
I think it depends on the kind of game that you are making.
Okay, so what would be some examples?
Well, actually, I can compare you and I currently. You are making a thing that I probably should have checked if I could talk about. But gender, the gender role plays a little bit more of a part. Can I say the genre of game that you're working on? Sorry,
Yeah,
to put
go
you on the
ahead.
spot.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you're working on a life sim of sorts. We'll leave it at that. I know that's not accurate completely, but to keep it generic and so people know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But the character selection and creation at the beginning is important because it is you stepping into a role. Versus I am writing or making a narrative driven RPG. You are telling someone else's story. So in my game, you don't have a choice. You play a male character. His name is established, his story is established, everything about him is established because it's his story, not yours. Versus your game, where you are stepping in and playing the role of that character.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like there are two main different types of gender, or like I don't want to say gender selection, but I guess maybe it is. So you're thinking about the pre-made type of characters, so characters that have already been established that are in the world. But
Yes.
I think there is a sort of balance between the two of them. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be done, but another way to do it are like avatar characters. So the one that comes to my mind right now, just off the top of my head, would be Persona 3 Portable, where you could choose between a male and a female character, but they were different characters. So like the social links that you could have between the two of them are different. which means that you can go through the same game and have a different experience depending on which gender that you select. Another
I
way
think.
that you could,
Go ahead.
yeah, so that is another way that you can handle it. And then, but that has some gameplay ramifications. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to represent yourself. So it is kind of strange that, like, obviously every game is going to be different. So there is no one right way to go about this, but there are just ideas that you can try out. And I'm just thinking about like different ways that they can be handled.
Another
Go ahead.
example was brought up. It was in the Fire Emblem games, the recent Fire Emblem games. They are an established character, but you get to choose the gender of that character. And the gender, I don't believe, really makes any difference in the actual gameplay. Does?
It 100% does, because that determines what your romanceable characters are.
Is that in all Fire Emblem games?
All Fire Emblem games that have that mechanic, and I believe only 2 of them are
Does
known.
the romance
Sorry,
matter?
sorry. In the okay, so not necessarily, kind of, depending on how hardcore you get to it. So in the Awakening and Fates games, yes, they matter a great deal because they determine what children that you can have, and those children have stats that are derived from the parents.
Yep, I thought that was really interesting. And then like, the character, the child of your character, ends up getting a lot of the skills and classes that the that the person they married ended up being or having.
Yeah, and also your child, because your main character also has a child, and the child is going to be the opposite gender of the whatever gender you choose. You do not get to choose the gender of your child.
Right.
That one is admittedly much less important, but that is a choice that is made for you.
That's interesting.
Kind of.
Yeah. Now, in the more recent Fire Emblem games, yeah, you don't breed like it was put in chat. But it does determine what you get a higher levels of support, which means that, you know, you have you get more bonuses when you fight next to them in combat. So choosing a spouse does have gameplay ramifications, though they're not as severe unless you're playing like on a higher difficulty level.
Right. Now, one game that I found was very odd that they didn't allow you to choose your gender was actually Unicorn Overlord. I was extremely surprised because I found out that, so the game, for spoilers for anyone who has not played Unicorn Overlord, go play it. It's fucking amazing. But Unicorn Overlord has a marriage system, and you can essentially marry every single character in the game. And I say every, I mean just about every character in the game.
Including your cousin, I think. The historically accurate version.
Oh, no, absolutely. Hold on. Yeah, you can even marry...
how that's like, okay, wait, I mentioned marrying your cousin, and then I saw your avatar just like go off, and then you just cut off.
Oh,
so you got so excited about that your mic cut off.
My mic is acting up. Sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, you can marry your cousin. You can marry the old man who was taking care of you. Like, what the fuck? Like, but...
I mean, in that way, I guess it kind of makes sense then that you can't necessarily pick your gender, because you can still have the outcome you want regardless if you can marry anybody.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like that falls into Aaron's earlier example of like this is this character's particular story. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with only having one gender.
Yeah, and kind of bouncing back to the previous, where like the gender selection actually impacts the gameplay. I think that is a good way to have kind of that avatar. Maybe it's not you necessarily, you're not fulfilling the role, but it has a purpose. Because if it's like it typically is in games where you're just kind of, or the devs, not you, are just kind of throwing it in to check a box, and it doesn't really do anything other than swapping pronouns, I don't see the purpose in having a gender selection other than to make people happy.
Yeah.
You're right, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that because even if that is the case, I will always be in favor of more options for players. It's like, hey, if a player wants to play as a girl, okay, let them. If they want to play as a guy, let them. So if it really doesn't impact the story in any way, for example, that would be the Souls games or Elden Ring, where it truly does not matter what your gender is. It has no effect on gameplay whatsoever. Then what's wrong with it? I see nothing. I see no reason why you can't. And
Yeah.
in fact, I think in fact, if you have so little impact, I think it would be well, I don't want to say a problem, but it would be confusing as to why you wouldn't include that choice.
I can understand that. Because like if it's like you guys said, Elaine from Unicorn Overlord is an established character. So I guess you're right. It would kind of make an issue if Elaine was a girl, um, because of all because you're telling Elaine's story, not your story. And so,
Well, I mean, so another example. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there,
no,
but
it's okay.
I just remembered that the latest Fire Emblem game actually is very much like Unicorn Overlord, where the main character is an established character who has dialogue, who has their own personal motivations, but you can choose their gender.
That's same with Awakening. Uh,
Yeah.
Awakening
Mhm.
has that too.
Well, yeah, but I mentioned the recent one specifically because of the gender selection having absolutely no impact on gameplay because your gender selection does not change what characters you can have S rank loyalty to or S rank support to. But in Awakening, there are gameplay changes. But to my knowledge, Engage has absolutely zero gameplay ramifications for choosing gender. So someone is free to correct me if I'm wrong, though. But yeah, I think that's the case.
The only issue that I have with the newest Fire Emblem is that they look like toothpaste.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad that we didn't put that into character design. I was like, wait, oh shoot, we should have thought about that. But
Now that you mention it,
I feel like that was more of an aesthetic preference rather than like an actual issue with the character design. But yeah, I do agree that was toothpaste dragon.
God damn.
But yeah, for body types, well, actually, I was gonna kind of segue into my next point, but so I guess like in my conclusion for that last part was if it doesn't matter, if it truly does not matter, I don't see why you can't make the choice. Give that choice to the player.
I agree.
Like, what reason would you have to take that choice away from them?
The only thing I can think of being the reason would be time constraints. Just things like coding, like making sure certain models, certain things stay intact without having to like changing a script in general is a lot more difficult than people give it credit for. Like using you have to, unless you were to yeah, it would be, it's a lot more difficult than people give it credit for, honestly.
Yeah, I think like something like budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, budget and time. I guess I can see that happening, but it really also depends on how smartly you handle it. Now, granted, when I'm working on my current game, yeah, that was something I knew going in that was going to be a thing. But once I figured that out, I was like, it took me about an afternoon to be able to swap models when you're trying to show your character's dialogue. So, but again, I'm using RPG Maker with I was editing a different script. Different characters have to be. Yeah, I can see that that's a problem.
Yeah,
But I'm assuming that people that are listening to this are like devs of, I don't want to say, well, they're not working with AAA teams, right? I think that's a pretty healthy assumption. I think.
yeah,
But
which is
if
another
you're
reason
working
why
on,
I think
but
budget comes into effect. Because say, again, take your game for example, multiple character poses for your main character. versus multiple other situations wherein you need different busts, right? If you were not doing the art yourself and you had to purchase that, suddenly you have doubled your art budget because you now have a male and female character that you need to represent.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
That is a rough thing to do.
And that's something I've talked about with many artists too, because they have told me on many occasions that they've had to charge more just because they had to do an entire new gender. They had to a lot of the cutscenes themselves. You would have to do whole new cutscenes with that. If you have those cutscenes with a different gender in the recent Rune Factory that came out, you have to there are different cutscenes that they have to reanimate with different genders.
Yep. And as mentioned in chat, voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
So not only have you doubled your art budget, you've doubled your voice acting budget, you've doubled your QA budget because you have to make sure that all of the dialogue is now correct. And if you're making it something so that it is actually relevant to the game, you're going to have to also change the way that people act and react to characters. Because as much as we want to pretend that it is not the case, people speak to men and women differently. And so if you want it to actually represent the gender that is being presented, the dialogue will also need to reflect that.
Yep. I mean, you always can go the always speaking as if the person were non-binary. Like, you could always talk to them without using any sort of gender
use
terms.
gender-neutral pronouns.
But I mean,
I think that's equally as inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at you, Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah, you knew where I was going with that one.
I knew exactly where you're going with that one.
My child.
Yeah, and the thing that pisses me off the most about that, sorry, if we're done with the last part.
Go for it.
You just lit my brain up.
Do it.
Because I remember I was playing the beginning of that game on stream, and I pointed out, it's like, oh, my mom is referring to me as a they and them. It's like, okay, fine, simple enough. Like, if you don't have the budget to re-record lines or whatever. I didn't buy the argument that the devs of Dragon Quest, of all games, didn't have the budget to do something.
No, Dragon Quest is a series that Square Enix takes very, very seriously. Debatably even more so than Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest is essentially worshipped in Japan.
Right. But the thing that I didn't actually get to see on stream, it wasn't until much later that I realized that it actually went back on itself. Because when my mom referred to me as a they them,
in game.
What?
I said in game.
Yeah, in game. Right. Yeah, my in game mom. But when I go to pick up something from the ground, it said, "Hey, main character noticed something at his feet." It's like, oh, okay. So you're just going back on that.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, consistency is a huge thing.
Yeah.
It
seems
I would have
like
respected it a lot more if it was more consistent, but you just went back on that. And I was like, come on. Come on.
I've got a lot of issues with Dragon Quest 3, which I won't really go to today. Maybe later, on a different time, in a different period. But anyway, yeah, no, they just, because I didn't play the game, I would not have noticed that, but I'm glad you did say that, because now that makes it even more infuriating. It's like, if you're going to stick to something, just fucking buckle up and just go with it, don't puss out halfway through and say, "Oh, I'm just going to not." It's like, come on, man. It's so inauthentic.
Right. And and in fact, that's another thing I wanted to bring up as well, is because we're moving on to the natural evolution of that step. Whereas we are no longer selecting gender in certain games, we are now selecting body types.
Ugh.
So, yeah. So now we're not even selecting genders anymore. We're just selecting body types, which is just gender selection.
It is. It's
because most of the time when you are let's see, yeah, in Elden Ring actually, because I brought up Elden Ring because of that. Yeah, you don't have you don't have gender selection. You don't choose between male and female. You choose between body type A and body type B.
Yeah.
Which are just male and female.
Yeah, I'm a body type A, guys, and just saying.
Okay, I was about to because I knew you. I was like, wait, are you making a sex joke? But I thought body type A was male. I was like, wait, hold on a minute. I got confused for a second. But also the thing is, you are not just selecting body type. You know, it when I first played that game, it did not bother me one bit. So I was like, okay, I'm playing as a dude. I know I'm gonna play as a dude. I'm gonna choose the option that lets me play as a dude. And that was the end of thought process.
Yeah.
But now that we're actually delving into this, I just realized, like, oh right, when you play body type A, characters will refer to you as man and a guy.
Exactly.
It was like, okay, so you are just selecting gender. That's literally all you're doing. You're not selecting body type, you're selecting gender.
Mm-hmm.
And if I recall correctly, Baldur's Gate 3 takes that a step further and actually separates them. Like, you choose a body type, and you can choose how people refer to you. And I was like, okay, so if you're going to do that, I think that's the better way to do it.
Right. I mean, sure. You know, even Shovel Knight does that.
Yeah. Wonder what... Yeah, so... But honestly, it didn't bother me in Elden Ring, and frankly, it still doesn't. Like, but now that I'm like going through it, and I'm just like, oh right, yeah, they are definitely doing that. And then Dragon Quest 3, though, I think that's a different scenario because the original game actually does tell you to switch between a male and a female, but in the HD 2D remake, that's taken out and is now body type.
I think swapping the word gender for body type can be as inoffensive and as innocuous as having gender selection. Kind of one of those things like you were mentioning earlier. If it doesn't hurt, then why do we care? And I think it would make people feel more comfortable. And it really doesn't have an effect. I do think, however, that if that's the route a developer is going to go, that they should also allow, like, to go down this road, they should allow you to specify pronouns. Because if you're going to call me body type A, and I'm like, that looks more like me, I like this better, this is a better representation, and then I'm being referred to as he, him the entire time, I'm going to be like, no, I don't like that. And it feels almost like you are being, I don't think deceived is the right word, but it's a misrepresentation if you're going to just assume that A is he, him, and B is she, her. Then and not like just removing male and female. It doesn't fix the problem. It just kind of puts a band-aid on top to make people think you're fixing a problem or addressing a concern rather than actually doing it.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah, it's like, again, just more options is never a bad thing, like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're... Obviously, we're all making this argument under the assumption that you are making the, like, avatar characters, like, not predefined, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, like, if your character truly does not have agency, like, does not have predefined personalities and their own, like, personal objectives, then yes, the more options, the better. So, there was something else I was going to bring up, and I was trying to listen to you, and now I forgot it. This is why you take notes, people. But yeah, I'm probably go back to that.
If it's not important, you won't remember it, but if it is, you will.
Yeah.
It'll come back to you.
You know, yeah. So I know we made a joke about ignoring chat, but Santier did bring up a very interesting point, which is I wonder what the original Japanese text in Elden Ring says. And I think that's actually a really important thing that brings a lot to the dynamic here, because if the Japanese text did not actually say, like, choose between body types, then that I think that changes a lot of context that's being taken out. Like you change the context from what is originally intended, because I know in Elden Ring specifically there was a translation error that completely altered the context of one of the endings.
Please don't spoil it.
So, oh no, I'm not going to spoil it. Yeah,
Thank you.
obviously, yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I do know that male and female are primarily more used in Japan than, say, body type A and body type B, um, because of the fact that a lot of game developers in America have really shifted towards the body type A, body type B. I've noticed,
hmm
but like in Japan, it's just male and female.
hmm So what do you think? So I know it's very easy to just blame it under like social justice, but like, do you think there's a specific problem that that kind of movement is trying to solve?
I don't know. I feel like that whole thing is just a big confusing mess at this point. I don't. It's like I don't really know if they know what they're trying to solve. I don't know. I don't have an
I
answer for that.
I think wishful thinking on my part is that they are trying to get rid of some of the more obvious and like in your face stereotypes that are placed on gender roles in video games, because they're there and they're usually awful. Um but I think that that's me being optimistic and putting my own hopes and desires onto an entertainment industry which is stupid
Yeah.
and asking to be disappointed.
No, they really don't. The entertainment industry doesn't care about really any of that. It's just whatever they think is going to make them more money. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
Because
So
it's
yeah.
like so if, for example, on during the Pride months, all of these companies will change their icons to have a rainbow type symbol. However, in their Arabic sanctions or districts, they won't change that. They will not change that in their Arabic districts because they would lose money in those particular regions, and they would rather do. It's the same with how in China when Disney made the Star Wars poster, they made sure to hide Finn as far into the poster as possible because they didn't want to show black people in China. It's all about what will make them the most money in certain areas.
hmm I agree with your assessment, 10, and I don't think there's anything wrong with Aaron's assessment, but
There's
when I looked at the body type selection choice rather than the gender selection, the first thought that came to my mind was trying to include, people who do not fully identify as either male or female. So either the non-binaries or the trans
and I
community.
agree with that.
Now,
Until
I
they refer
don't
to you as he, him.
Yeah, so that was something else that I was gonna bring up as well, because I don't think if that's actually what's going on here, I don't think that's the way to do it. Now, granted, I'm not trans, so I do not know the full desires of everyone that has been in the communities, but from the accounts that I have read, the idea of not being able to the idea of not being able to identify as the gender that they want to identify as can be just as harmful. So like, say if someone wants to present themselves as a man,
Hmm.
and they should have the freedom to choose, I want to be a man,
Hmm.
but having that taken away from them in favor of body types, um, is not something that they're particularly happy with. Now,
E-
granted, I'm reciting the accounts of individuals, because obviously
exactly.
a whole community cannot be boiled down to like one single statement.
And then that's exactly the thing. If a person identifies, let's say you have someone who's trans who identifies as a woman, they don't want to be body type B, they want to be female. Don't force them to be body type B. Let them be female.
Well, I think this goes back to what I was saying before. It could all be completely solved by then allowing people to confirm their pronouns.
Yeah.
Because then
Will
you
that,
are
though?
simply, because you're simply choosing a body type. This is what your physical representation looks like. But these are the pronouns that are associated with your identity. So you're still able to be like, this is me, I am, insert pronoun here, but this is how I physically want to appear.
Interesting
Because,
that you bring
and I
that up.
think
Go
that
ahead.
would also include androgynous and non-binary people even more so, because sometimes they have a different set of pronouns than the way that they do physically appear, and that's how they want to be. Whereas if you're tying always body type A to male pronouns and body type B to female pronouns, those people in that middle space, I don't know if that's the politically correct phrasing to say there, sorry, but the non-binaries and the androgynous people, it gives them space to then also coexist within something that is typically more binary.
So that's interesting that you bring that up. So I'm going to recount a game that I played, and I'm not going to say the name of the game because I don't want to I don't want to bring up discussions for people who may have played that game to talk about how they handled it. But I will say that the game I played was made by a trans person specifically to help raise awareness of how trans people would like to be represented, or at least that person. And the way that they handled it was a game kind of like your first example, Aaron. It was a game with a pre-made character. And that character identified as a she and was referred to using she, her pronouns, but always said, hey, I want to be referred to as Mr. Person, Mr. Name. The game itself was actually very well made. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. But that was something that I had never seen before and frankly have not seen since. So make of that what you will.
What was the
But
game called?
He wasn't
I
gonna say.
deliberately just said I was not going to say that game. I will tell it to you off stream,
Okay.
like when we're done here, just so you can take a look at it.
Yeah, I am interested. But yeah,
Yeah.
tell me later.
Right. But it was not something I had seen before and have not seen since. But because it was made by a trans person, I felt like that gave it a sense of authenticity that I probably am not sure I would have given it had it been made by, someone like me. So, what my main takeaway from that is that it's going to be rough to include as many identities and people as possible because, like, until I played that game, I didn't even know that was an option. So, to fully appeal to different identities, I feel is going to be more. It's going to be more than just a couple of binary choices, even if it's just body types and pronouns. A part of me is wondering, is even that enough?
I feel like
But obviously, like creating these kinds of experiences is always going to be a work in progress because we're always going to be learning more about the human condition, and as more people are becoming more comfortable with sharing their experiences, there's just going to be more information and more perspectives that we can draw from.
I feel like creating something would be fine. I mean, if you're not familiar with certain aspects of uh, things like transgender or non-transgender or writing female characters, a lot of it could be, you could always do research to sort of understand what it is that these characters go through or what these people go through to sort of get a better understanding, and then you'll be able to, I feel like with that you'd be able to write certain characters. The same could be even said about race in characters, um, just doing a little bit of research, and you should be able to get a rough understanding at the very least. But I mean, if you don't if you force your if so like if you don't write these characters because of the fact that you are not in their what's the word I'm looking for, I don't know. If you don't write a transgender character because you're not transgender, then that's one less story that's told. You could, I think that, I think as a writer, you can learn these things and be able to write these stories whether you are trans or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Write what you don't. Sorry, write what you. I was about to say, write what you don't know. Write what you know, and if you don't know, do your research.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, no one would write any. Because that's how fantasy stories get written. Dragons don't exist, but that's the part of the.
They don't?
Yeah. Big shocker. Sorry. Yeah. But in this case, I think there's a difference between representation and simply including. So inclusion versus representation. And I think representation, that's the mire that's going to take a lot of research to understand.
Right.
But if you're just trying to give people more options, I think, yeah, what you're doing with just body types and the pronoun selections, I think that's going to be, I don't want to say all you need, because obviously if there's another perspective I'm missing, then yeah, there's that. But I think that demonstrates at the very least a good intent, even if you don't hit the nail on the head. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with just going, hey, here's body type, and then hey, here's body type B, and then depending on the game, like if you're playing Elden Ring, you just be like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick body type A, then I'm gonna, in my head, it's gonna be I'm a dude. I will always be a dude. I don't care about your body type. But there was actually, I did also come across another conversation somewhere that I don't remember where, which I know lends a lot of credibility to what I'm about to say. But I think one of the more recent Pokemon games actually was able to strike a good balance because of one simple phrasing.
What's that?
So in Crystal, you were prompted your gender selection by, are you a boy or are you a girl? And then in the more recent Pokemon games, I can't remember which one. It was either Sun or Moon or Sword and Shield. I truly do not remember. If any Pokemon fans can come in here and help me out with this, let me know. But it was a Pokemon game. And the prompt was, would you like to play as a boy or would you like to play as a girl? And that wording was enough. Just be like, okay, well, you only have two different avatars, but it just says, hey, how do you want to present yourself?
That's actually an interesting point. It's like you're giving the player the choice of what they want to play as.
Yeah, well, and it's specifying it's taking the focus off of you and putting it on the character, which I think is the important part there. You're not saying I am this. You are saying I am playing as this.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I like that. And I being the macho man that I am, always picks a girl.
I was about to say, wait a minute. I was
because I like dressing them up in cute outfits.
You can do that to men.
But
yeah, that's pretty sexist of you to think that men cannot be dressed up in cute outfits.
Well,
I ran around in Dark Souls as a butterfly.
Absolutely.
Pics or it didn't happen.
I mean, it was a video game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take screenshots. So screenshots or it didn't happen.
Let me rewind my life.
No, what you gotta do is you gotta make a time machine. You gotta go back in time with your cell phone. Take a really fuzzy picture of your computer screen from over your shoulder, and then that's the proof enough. It's like Super Smash Brothers leaks.
Right.
Yeah, I always dress in the flowy, beautiful clothes as a dude in any of those sorts of games.
Yeah, I kind of like. I actually, you know what? That's a really good thing. Okay, so here's a good segue. So I think we already know Ten's answer, but for everyone else, I guess you guys can answer in chat as well. If you can choose between your gender or a different gender, which one would you choose? Let's assume for this experiment there are zero gameplay differences between the two, right? You will get the exact same experience regardless of which gender that you play. Which one would you go with?
Whichever one has better hair.
That
Like, yeah,
that is
okay.
a good answer.
What if they were the
Good
exact
answer.
same?
Good
If you had the exact
answer.
same options.
If you can actually choose any hairstyle for whatever your avatar appears as, I usually play female. I would say 98% of the time I play female.
Oh, hairstyle, but hairstyles are extremely important, though.
Yes.
That even more so than clothing. I was playing.
Well, like I said, no ramification. Okay, let me rephrase that then. There is nothing locked behind gender, so everyone can wear the exact same clothes, the exact same outfits, and they don't have any differences between them as gender, and you have no gameplay changes between the two.
Yeah, I would go girl.
Yeah, same.
Interesting. I would go guy because it's because it is an avatar character. It's like, okay, well, this is going to be me in the world, and if I'm going to be looking at the world, I'm not going to be looking at me, you know. So my first playthrough with these kinds of games, like for Souls games, I always pick a guy my first time through, just because I want to put myself in that situation because I thought that was the point of an avatar.
Okay, the Souls games are my exception, but to be fair, I'm also not playing them myself. I'm watching somebody else play them who happens to be a man. So we go with a male character and make him pretty.
I mean, I think that I've seen a lot of male characters that are pretty that are freaking badass. Like
Yeah.
pretty male characters in anime are usually always OP.
That is true. But yeah, that is an interesting idea because the responses that I typically get are actually represented by the three of us. You know, Aaron and I, we choose our own gender. Ten chooses what he wants to look at.
It's not even so much what I want to look at per se, but I guess it is at the same time. Like, yeah, I don't know, cute things, man, cute.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like, if it was cute, why would you not want to look at it? So I think that's also an argument to be made, like, for developers taking more time to include more body types, if you want to, that you can.
And I think, just kind of thinking about my own reasoning for it, a lot of it is because some of the better, I mean, not in this hypothetical, obviously, but some of the better clothing options are typically female, in my opinion. Some of the worst ones are also typically female. So that's always a fun line to walk. And it's not necessarily about self-inserting, which I know came up in chat a couple of times. But it makes it easier for me to see myself, not like me myself being that character, but like taking a role in that story. So my character in the game, not as me Aaron, but as me in game, is taking part in their story, and it's easier for me to then see that as believable and like suspend my disbelief, I guess.
There's a game that I played years ago called White Knight Chronicles, and you create an avatar. You can choose a gender. You can make the character look however you want, and that character, after like after the beginning, once you get your first not the main character, but you're not the main character in the game, by the way. Once you get the second party member of the main character, you have absolutely no bearing in the story. You are literally just there. They don't even talk to you.
Interesting.
You are just there, and it's really fucking awkward.
Wait, so you're just like a ghost somewhere? It's just like nobody even acknowledges your existence?
Yes! It is so weird how they don't even they don't talk to you or anything. It's just, I hate it.
Interesting. All right. Well, cool. So, but in that case, that actually makes it a lot easier to have different, body types, right? I'm just going to refer to it as body types because you guys know what I mean. So it's like, yeah, just because it's easier because nobody acknowledges your existence. And yeah, wouldn't that just make it a lot easier to have different body types?
Yeah,
So then why not?
yeah, I guess so. But I like Aaron also. I also like what Aaron was saying about, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm on the fence with this one. I'm very much on the fence. You both have very good points, and I'm gonna be the milquetoast fence sitter on this one.
That's usually me.
You of all people are gonna do
You're
that.
goddamn right. Fight me.
That's the most aggressive fence setting I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is.
I will fight to make sure I have no stance on this. But yeah, like obviously every game's gonna be different. There's no one right answer, but I think it all boils down to intent. It's like, how do you, the developer, want players to be able to represent themselves?
Right,
And the deeper you go into that, the more options and the more complexity there's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you can put yourself in a chainmail bikini, then what's the point of picking anything else?
What if I want to be a guy in a chainmail bikini?
I didn't.
All right.
Who
What
says
makes
you
think
can't?
that- yeah, exactly.
I'm
Well,
not-
devs maybe, because sometimes there are games that have this. If a male avatar and a female avatar equip the exact same piece of armor, they're going to get a completely different appearance.
That's a very World of Warcraft thing to say.
Which is hilarious because I've never played World of Warcraft.
Oh no, yeah, the like some of the armor in World of Warcraft, if you put them on female characters, it's literally a bikini, and on males, it's like a full set of plate mail.
Wow.
It's so
okay. Well, yeah. How do you guys feel about that? Actually,
I think it's freaking stupid.
yeah.
And I'm a guy who's cool with scantily clad armor.
Yeah.
But
I hate scantily clad armor no matter what. It's stupid.
I mean, it is stupid.
So, yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
Like it's stupid, but in a game, here's the thing: if I don't mind that kind of stuff, obviously, but if I see that, then that tells me that this is not a game that I should be taken seriously. And for better or for worse, some games you shouldn't take it too seriously. Other games you should. But if I see a game that like tries to take itself super seriously and has those kinds of options on there, I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? Hi, Gotcha Games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I also do agree with that. It should be equal for I think that if you're going to make armor, it should be gender non-exclusive. Anybody should be able to wear it.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you want to put your little bikini on a man, cool. Enjoy.
I mean,
I'll still laugh at you.
I mean, if you look at like Conan the Barbarian, that dude is a freaking badass, and he looks good in a goddamn speedo.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, that is another point because what. So I would like more perspectives on this, but the argument that I remember reading a long time ago was a man, like someone dressing up like Conan the Barbarian, right? That is not overly sexualized because it was meant to be a power fantasy. Is your like big ripping muscles, like that you could break somebody in half by just hugging them too hard. But having that same kind of look on a woman,
I think
like that brings out a different context, and I just wanted to get some input on that. Like, how many people would agree with that? Because if you put a woman out there with nothing but bikini armor, I was like, wait a minute, okay, that's not quite the same thing. The intent behind the design is not going to be quite the same. That's what it seems like to me.
I don't know. I know a lot of gals who watch Conan for that very reason.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think what it boils down to at the end of the day is why you. I hate to say why you care because that sounds kind of like I'm being like, why do you care, Nova? But like, why you are making the decisions you are when you are dressing your character. If you are wanting your character to be attractive to you, that's one thing. If you want your character to be authentic in their armor or actually not die, that's another thing. Maybe you just like colors and you want to match the colors and make it look good.
Yeah.
That's another thing altogether.
Yeah, that's true. Because I try to. So the only example I can really think of is Souls games, and for me, I'm just trying to get as much armor as I can before I start fat rolling, and because of that, my attire is going to be constantly changing throughout the whole game. So for me, it's less like I try to play Fashion Souls, but
I very much play Fashion Souls.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
but
for sure.
ultimately, it's very rough.
You just take off your shoes. It's fine, or your gloves, or your hat.
Oh yeah,
I know
yeah,
they're
sure.
helmets. Don't at me. I know that these are not the
I mean, some
actual
of them are
armor
hats.
terms.
Not
Some of
all
them are
helmets.
hats. Some
Yeah.
of them are hats. I have a bucket on in Elden Ring right now. It's great. Because my bucket haircut is not cute, apparently.
What?
Thank you.
Wait, it's
But
like,
no,
wait, a bucket haircut. Okay, I need a picture of
it's
that.
it's a
What in the
bowl
world's a
cut.
bucket
It's
haircut? Oh, that. Okay, yeah, the whole,
it's
yeah.
with the
Ew,
bangs. It's
no.
styled after Raoul from Resident Historia because I was
Oh,
obsessed with it when we made our character for Elden Ring.
oh,
Long story.
okay.
Totally irrelevant. Sorry, that was my tangent of the night.
It's okay. It's
Nah,
beautiful.
it's fine,
I love
it's
it.
Still related to gender.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's dressed beautifully.
Great. So, what have we learned today?
allowing you to
It's
have
hard.
allowing you to be able to change your having a separate armor set that just changes your look is a good thing.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Oh man, what was the game that did this? I know I played a game that did this. I
A
can't
lot of
remember what it was.
a
And
lot of
it's
current
driving me crazy.
MMOs do this. They allow you to have two sets of armor, one that changes what you look like and one that changes what you are actually wearing. And one of my favorites that does this is EverQuest 2, because you could actually change the way your weapon looks in that game. So if you're actually wielding a sword, you can make it look like an axe or a staff. I think that's pretty neat.
And
Does
see,
that also mean that your moveset changes as well?
Yes.
Weird. I'm gonna be the weird one here, apparently. I don't do different fashion than stats. If I don't like the stats, I won't wear it. I don't care how good it looks. Likewise, if I like how good it looks, I don't care about the stats. I make it work. Because like
So,
glamour,
like, you are the hardcore fashion souls.
I am. Well, and so I'm thinking specifically about 14 right now, Final Fantasy 14. So much of Endgame, which I'm not at, but whatever. So much of 14 is focused on creating glamour at the end. And I think that's worthless. Like, I would rather spend my time doing other stuff. So whatever armor set that I'm using to run a dungeon is how I look, because I don't want to put the time in otherwise.
But I mean, fashion, people like to. It's still an option that that's there for people to enjoy.
It's a huge option. That's what so many people play 14 for, is for that. And to be fair, a lot of 14 players also get very into like actual role playing in game, and I think that would have more of an impact on it if I were doing that. But I am antisocial in my MMO, and I don't talk to people, so I don't.
I thought the whole point of an MMO was to be sociable.
It is.
I'm
That's
very
the only
new
reason
to
I
this,
play.
so
Well, that's the only reason I play 14. It's the only MMO I like because I can solo 98% of it.
okay.
Because I don't like people.
You like us?
I was about to say, it's like, okay, well, I guess the podcast is over then.
I don't like people.
I mean, yeah, but that's why I don't play. Like, I'm the same way, but that's why I don't play MMOs. Instead, I play fighting games where I can beat up other people.
Fair.
Yeah.
Aaron hates us.
Yeah. You're just there for no 10. You're just there for emergency food supply.
Fuck you,
Just in case
Nova.
we need some fried fish.
And now I'm gonna go to Long John Silver's and eat some fried fish.
Wow, cannibal.
Yeah.
We're all feeding into things. I just said I don't like people.
I'm gonna go get McDonald's and get a fish fillet because Long John Silver's is too far away.
Oh, so you're a cannibal of convenience.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
It's called cannibalism, not cannibalism.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, John Erico, you are so beautiful.
Okay, well, yeah, that is. I think we got it then.
All right,
Yeah, what we've learned from all this is that this is really hard. Like if you want to be inclusive, it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think inclusion is a good thing, but doing it
There's a
right,
difference between inclusion and representation.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yes.
a big key difference.
yes, absolutely. It's hard, guys.
Between that. Yeah.
So now go make hard choices when you're making your games.
Well, I mean, I think there's a reason. I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of people spend like an hour to just on the character creation screen. for a lot
Oh
of
my
these
god,
games.
I was up till like 2 in the morning working on my character in Monster Hunter.
Mhm.
I was like,
Meanwhile, I hit random. And it's like I pick a few things that I care about, usually hair. Sometimes eye color. I really like to pick eye color so that it coordinates with the hair. Everything else, I don't care.
Hmm.
I tweak it if it's ugly, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to, sometimes less options is better.
mm-hmm.
Look at Fantasy
what-
Star Online.
I'm ignoring that. What's so funny though is like I for a very long time was obsessed with The Sims and creating photorealistic copies of not just like myself, but like people I knew, characters in books I was writing. If it was nowadays, people, their characters in games that I'm creating. So I don't know where that disconnect is because it's essentially the same thing. But in Sims it matters, in other games it doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. It Sims. It doesn't matter what your character looks like. It doesn't change anything.
Nope, not at all. But I want them to be perfect. I used to create custom content for Sims because I wanted them to be perfect.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just finding this out now.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I get it. You know, you just don't like people, so.
It's true.
But we love you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yay. Great.
What was that half-hearted yay?
Yay.
That was like almost like a concerned yay.
A little.
Yay.
There was a question mark at the end.
Yay!
That was the most audible question mark I've heard for a while.
Sometimes I speak in punctuation. Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's fine.
At least I don't lie.
It's fine.
True. You know, it's a sign of a healthy relationship where we can be open and honest by insulting each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be drinking tonight. Some Crystal Light and Crown Royal Apple.
Ew.
I love you too, Scat
I'm gonna
and
pretend
Sprites.
I know what you just said.
Crown Royal Apple. We're gonna one day, Nova. I'm gonna hunt you down in real life. We're gonna have a drink
No.
together.
No.
If only I was able to drink.
Oh, that's
not
right.
gonna
You can't.
Kill him.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that little detail.
Yeah, that one little detail, and I'm concerned that one day you're gonna forget that at a very critical moment.
Well, you can.
And then conditional branch podcast will only have 2 hosts.
Not only have one because he'll be in jail.
This is true.
I mean, you can, there are some prisons that let you stream from prison.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, you know, rehabilitation, you know? Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
I don't know that streaming is rehab.
I mean, you know, and you know, 10 and I stream and we're
I mean, I'm
In need of rehab.
I'm basically in prison. I'm a fish.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like wait, I caught myself as I was saying that. I was like, wait a minute. Are we really okay?
We're not okay.
No one's okay.
We're not. We're fucked. We're fucked, guys.
On On that note.
All right.
I think it's
Well, I think-
what,
Go
what are we gonna discuss next week after I get out of prison?
Well, first off, okay, we're gonna discuss how in the world you're gonna be able to get out of prison in just a week.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah, well, just pocket your spoons. All right, they'll help.
Dan, it's like you know me. All right, guys.
All right.
I guess we're gonna go ahead and let's see if we can raid somebody, because I think it's.
Are we gonna be able to raid?
We're
Will Twitch allow us to raid now?
We're gonna find out. Is anyone streaming RPG Maker right now?
No one that I'm following.
No one that I'm following.
No one at all is streaming RPG. What the fuck? Is the entire community here?
Hi, friends.
Maybe.
Guys, someone go live so we can raid you. Jesus Christ.
There is
Again,
an RPG
assuming we
Maker
can raid.
on. A couple of them.
Oh.
They're just not doing RPG Maker today.
Alrighty
Well, I
then.
mean, you can do it. You can check the. I mean, it's not just RPG Maker. Some people stream in RPG Maker MV or MZ. Sometimes they
Yeah,
have different
hang on.
categories that they stream in.
Yeah.
I follow all the categories. Let me see. There's
Oh, yeah, I
definitely
forgot you
people
could follow
live. Hang on.
Yeah, give me some money. Give me the goods.
That's in French. That's not RPG Maker. It is also, well, that might be RPG Maker.
Streaming an RPG Maker, but actually
It says
streaming
RPG
World of
Maker.
Warcraft.
I have seen this
Gee,
person
yeah.
before.
Or maybe they're streaming somebody else's pre-made game and then they're using it to spread gospel.
Oh. Never seen
Not that I would
before.
know anything about that.
I'm gonna.
Alright, we're gonna go somewhere that may potentially be French and not English.
That's fine. I'm gonna stream in Cody in the House.
Can we stream? We can raid.
Yeah, we're raiding, guys.
Nice.
Okay.
It does say French English, so
French English. So, Boubouche de Bourgois or whatever that's pronounced.
voulez-vous
What?
coucher avec moi?
Thank you.
Omelette du fromage.
Okay, Dexter. Go tape your serial killers elsewhere, bucko.
Oh, we can tell that I'm the only bilingual or multilingual one here. On that note, ciao. We're gonna raid.
Guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you so much for dropping by.
Time for Tubby it's still going. It's not giving
I
me
can
the
get raid.
Click the button.
it's saying leave.
I hit the button.
Okay, we're gonna
Okay, there we go.